This commentary I'm doing serves as a side note to the video you're about to watch. This guy had a Salvia Trip and he experienced something that's hugely connected to the Reincarnation Soul trap. He also had an experience in real life after the trip was over that is just beyond mind-blowing and very revealing. Enjoy the video.
Here's an illustration I made of the wave-like feature that manifested in front of me after smoking 400 milligrams of an incredibly potent 10 times extract. This started when I ordered some plain leaf salvia to create an extract to smoke. I performed a basic acetone extraction to create a 10 times enhanced leaf extract, a potency I have always been familiar with. I loaded about 400 milligrams into a hookah I made from a Pyrex filter flask. I cleared the bowl in one pull, held it, and exhaled a large cloud of smoke and waited the brief couple seconds for the effects. I kept going back to the same place, but this time it was different, more aggressive, an experience so mind-bending it had me rattled for years. It completely reshaped my understanding as to what reality could be and what other realities might exist, and how they may have their fingers in ours. Now, this was the third, final, and most profound salvia trip with this particular batch of 10 times extract. It made any other extracts I made negligible in potency. The effects immensely took hold, and I felt a brief rushing sensation. Then my consciousness teleported through a tunnel of information, zipping past me, very reminiscent of the Star Trek warp drive. The speed quickly slowed, and I remember briefly seeing some sort of glyph. I was too disoriented to remember its detail, almost like a quick flash of geometric insignia marking the doorway to this realm that triggered full recollection of the power and nuances of this place, like how a smell will take you back to a particular time in your life. Soon the room was being overlaid and eventually consumed by this continuous fabric curling over me like a wave, not like waves you'd see on an ocean beach. There were these blocks that lined the entire back, curling part of this wave. Each block seemed to be slightly raised from the fabric's surface, like a keyboard button or a tile. Strange, simple, archetypal faces adorned each block like you'd see on maybe Minecraft or Super Mario. All blank-faced, like frozen emotions of awe or complacency, all looking forward. This wave, I felt like it threatened to overtake me. Around these blocks, the wave was constructed by these lens-shaped cells, all in a very pastel-colored composition. It reminded me of the colors of a stand of tall trunk trees in the distance from the perspective of a grassy hill, even had blue sky in front of the wave. The blocks at the back of the curl were the ochre brown in color, and the lens-shaped cells all flowed from the treetops, down through the blocks which were like the trunks of the trees, filtered down around the archetypal block faces. It reminded me of how cars would move around buildings in a city from an aerial perspective. I was in total awe, and this was scaring the shit out of me. There was the disconcerting rate that these cells began to flow towards me, and how the whole place had a very tangible plasticine, or claymation look to it. It was very real, stable, solid and dimensional. Secondly, and the most unsettling part, was this invisible, omnipresent entity that seemed to claim ownership of this place. I was apologetic, respectful in my trespassing, but it did not care. Before I could complete a single thought, pleading for mercy or compassion, it would shut me down. Hard. All with a nonverbal no. Again and again. I remember telepathically hearing, "You fucked up this time. You're never going back. You're dead. And now, you're here forever." So these eye-shaped cells began to cluster and stick to my body in this standing on end sort of fashion, not unlike how iron filings arrange themselves on the poles of a strong magnet. This was giving me a visual on what was causing the tingling pins and needles feeling I always get on the front side of my body when taking salvia. Why the back side of my body never gets this feeling is still unknown. It was like any side of my body exposed to this wave-like feature was receiving some sort of radiation from it. almost as if you were sitting in the sun. The exposed parts of my body had these pins and needles as the salvia gravity pushed me back. As these lens-like cells began to cluster around me, I got the sensation of almost drowning in them, which triggered a brief fight or flight reaction which made me sit up. I almost got up and ran. Some sender of myself knew this was pointless, and I forced myself to relax and go back into it. The omnipresent entity was pissed. I felt as though I walked into a meeting where evil was being conspired and I was being threatened with my life for entering this room. I felt as though I was seeing something I was not supposed to, and for not my own good. It had something to do with souls, a purgatorial state this entity held captive there beyond their will. The images slowly blended back into my real-world surroundings, and I was left with some extremely profound downloads from this place. I got the feeling that that realm is a click away on the radio dial from our reality. I was threatened and warned not to enter that place by some omnipresent but invisible entity. It told me,
"We pull the strings around your reality. Be careful where you put your nose. We can take you out in a second."
Here's where it gets really fucking weird. As I was still high, in total disbelief, fascinated, rattled, shaking, definitely humbled, but slowly coming down, I decided to take a shower to relax, to get my head straight and try to wash this all away. Within seconds of being in the shower, I felt this crunch under my foot and extreme pain shot up my leg. I yelled in a shaky, scared shitless way I have never yelled before. Both of our cats darted into the bathroom and could tell I was in total distress by the way in which it must have sounded, assuming I just stepped on a black widow spider, in a state of existential fear I have never felt before in my life. I'm absolutely certain that Salvia manipulated something into my reality to set me up, to fucking kill me. I slowly lift my foot to reveal a honeybee. How the hell? I stepped on a bee and got stung. The relief was short-lived, for this ran through my head. Here's a little reminder, this voice in my head. We run shit around here. Careful where you put your nose, because we can make things happen. I can make you disappear. I can't even tell you how this affected me in the years to come. I can no longer smoke pot because it brings back that recollection of existential dread. Classic psychedelics I can still tolerate with no ill effect, but pot is definitely out of the equation. This was over 5 years ago, and it still rattles me. The questions. Maybe this was not a coincidence. Was that bee placed there for me as a reminder? To send a message? Did Salvia have control of this reality and make this happen? Just to send me a reminder to take the threat seriously? It's a hell of a coincidence if it's not. This is my most earth-shattering trip for me. DMT can't even compare. How it completely fucked with my head, and it's all I could think about for weeks, was definitely novel. Something classic psychedelics don't hold a candle to. Incredible power. It will push the boundaries of what you believe. It will shatter and rearrange sense of reality and what's real. I can say with good confidence that the universe far bigger, stranger, and more complex than we could ever imagine.